Welcome everyone to this 24th session of Hereticus. I think it's 24th. Anyway, this is a brand new session of Hereticus. And I think we'll just dive right into a recap by our very own Psyker, Chris.
Mm-hmm. In the grim darkness of the far future, there was only the 24th episode of Hereticus. The previous 23 and all the ones that come after have just gone missing, so, you know, a lot of information was lost.
Nice one. Nice one.
The last time on Hereticus, many things. We continued off where we'd left off in the previous session before that, at a big firefight in the streets of Port Hadley that our inquisitorial team were helping the Scintillant Fusiliers in clearing out. It was one of the last big bastions of traitor forces on the piety of Seth. We dropped in our immolator, not very smoothly. In fact, the immolator was rendered immobile by the jolt of being launched by Thunderhawk transporter into the city like a fucking slingshot.
We don't talk about that.
No, we're going to talk about that. That's something that happened. We did successfully defeat the abomination that was walking around the streets, sort of organising everything, despite being a hideous flesh golem with two of these weird artifacts that we were searching for. Apparently, we haven't tried simply breaking the damn things, because upon actually shooting one, it blew up and attracted lots of attention, which we then dealt with in the last session. A long and grueling firefight ensued, where a platoon, or the remnants of a platoon of traitor guardsmen, basically started to trying to pick off our team bit by bit. Prue fought valiantly, getting into close combat, as is her specialty, but was unable to withstand the awesome and terrible power of their commander, who was a Psyker. She was rendered unconscious, and her two cybermastiffs were damaged in the fighting. Thereby proving that Prue, for all her enthusiasm, is perhaps best suited to fixing things.
Right.
Maybe.
I have faith in our tech priest.
Would you like to meet my power fist?
Isn't that heretical? Since you're only meant to have faith in the God Emperor. Anyway, Accolon, just to give the players I've pissed off some catharsis, had his entire left arm cauterized and rendered useless. The flesh fused together, the bones broke under the force of the las rounds fired at it, and he was sort of rendered. He had to retreat from the fight into the immolator. Medea actually did pretty all right. She was able to get around, dodge a lot of shots, getting a few shots here and there. Took a bit of damage, but nothing to be concerned about. And then you had Sister Francesca, who had a multi-melter and an iron will and the faith of the God Emperor, and she just wiped the floor with every single one of the enemy. I honestly think that she could have handled that entire thing solo, but there you are. And then any reinforcements that were then called in were dealt with by a second artillery strike that the wounded Accolon was able to call in, which was handy. So we successfully managed to make it through that encounter alive, if not unscathed. And then we heard reports coming in from the Scintillant Fusiliers that the rest of the city had successfully been taken. That defeating the abomination had obviously helped somewhat. And yeah, Port Hadley was under Imperial control again. We made our way back after fixing the immolator. We were lauded by either General Legolas, or how do you pronounce his name? Because I can't stop thinking either about a drunken fellow or a pretty elf. But
pretty elf.
Mm-hmm.
Elf, definitely.
Totally.
Anyway, and then Sister Francesca commended all of us because she felt we all did quite well. And then there was some RP. Accolon was fitted with a new bionic arm. Speaking of which, I should commission some artwork of that. And we
knew someone who did art.
Yeah, if only I knew someone who did art. And after that, we all packed up our stuff made sure all our affairs were in order on the planet, and got back on a ship to make our way home, sort of, to Scintilla, to rendezvous with our Inquisitor, or at least to our Inquisitor's trusted and totally trustworthy Chief Acolyte, Trina.
I still think we're feeding a chaos cult all the items it wants.
Well, all except one, since we've conveniently blown one of them up.
Yes.
So, does that mean that we've ruined their plans if they can't get the whole set together? I mean, the visions that Akalon's been receiving have been very specific in the number of the damn things.
Yes, they have.
So, who knows what's going to happen now?
Who knows?
But yes, where we left off, we were on the ship, heading back to Scintilla.
Yes.
And we're going to get to Scintilla without any problems.
Okay, well, we'll see about that.
Ladies and gentlemen, the viewing audience service announcement. I've been arguing this point with the GM since this morning about whether or not we're going to have an eventless journey home.
As you have indeed.
Hey, I'm taking it. You lost it.
I don't know yet.
That remains to be seen.
Until something happens, and there's no guarantee something will happen, we won't know.
Indeed.
Let's see.
Cool.
My hope is that it'll be relatively event-free, because shit happening while you're in space is shit.
Yes, indeed.
Shit happening in space is shit. Who knew?
So I have two things we need to settle right off. Chris, could you roll me a willpower test for your character, please?
Never.
And the second thing is, so there was the mention of a conversation that, or between Medea and Prue regarding Medea's inability to feel pain. That was something that you mentioned that you wanted to talk about, but we got it early last session because at least I think a few others were about to keel over from exhaustion.
Yeah.
So is that still a thing? Is that a conversation we want to have, or have we lost that moment?
I'd still like to have it.
Cool, sweet. Well, then I think we'll just we can start off with that basically. And thank you for that wonderful willpower test, Akamon.
Wonderful.
You sure you don't want to take the willpower first?
No. We'll take the conversation first.
That's because while we're having the conversation, the Emolon will explode.
Well, something might explode.
Anyway.
Anyway,
We'll look over and say, huh, curious.
And Medea will comment, "Oh, this is a shame. He was such a nice person. I didn't know people exploded, like, unprovoked."
But yeah,
Neither did I.
we'll
That's poor Akalon. And Medea.
When we return, we'll have to explain why he exploded and why Tim fell off a roof.
I knew him, Medea, a fellow of infinite angst, of most excellent heresy.
Yes, indeed. So, at some point, we have Prue and Medea in the same room, and Prue, you are aware that Medea lacks the ability to feel pain.
Yes,
Yeah, she said so much.
Yeah.
I think this is probably a while later, considering Prue has been busy attaching stuff to Akalon.
And to her
And
dogs.
attaching her dogs again.
Also that.
Reassembling her poochies.
But I think she'll have approached Medea, going, Medea, I have a question, if I may.
That... Okay.
You said you were unable to feel pain.
Yes.
Has that been like that since birth?
I've never felt pain.
I wonder then if you are mutated or damaged.
Maybe both.
It could simply be that something is wrong in your brain.
Okay.
Have you considered having it looked at?
I'm pretty sure Inquisitor Dex did,
Oh, how
but
so?
she didn't say anything. Just that I led a weird life.
Well,
Why?
I was simply curious. Should you like, I could take a look at it.
Nah.
Don't worry, I won't do anything to harm you.
She lifts a brow.
I'm quite the skilled medici.
Yeah, but you'd still have to actually look at it, which means removing my scalp.
I can put it back.
You know what? If my head is ever blown open, you can look.
I suspect if your head is blown open, I'll have more pressing issues to look into.
Well, then you'll have to fix that first, right?
That's actually a good question. Would you like me to fix it if I can?
Fix what?
Your lack of ability to feel pain.
Nah. As far as I see on other people, it's mostly a hindrance.
Pain serves a purpose. It reminds you of danger.
Yeah, but I've lived without it for so long.
And you've never encountered something where a pain signal would have been an advantage?
No.
Never stepped on anything that you shouldn't have and only noticed later?
Maybe, I don't know. I didn't feel it.
Are you completely numb to sensations or just pain?
Just pain.
Curious.
Well, I did have a headache once, but that was because of a psyker.
So
And
you
it wasn't even that bad.
So pain can be induced upon you.
Hasn't happened
Interesting.
since.
If it was by Siger, perhaps only... Perhaps I should ask Akalon.
He hasn't been able to either.
To make you feel pain.
Yes.
So he has tried.
No, he tried to instruct me on how you pelt yourself for the God Emperor.
Oh, of course.
Though I didn't feel it, so I got a little too eager, and he told me how to do it.
Yes, I imagine you must damage your body quite often if you cannot feel when to stop.
Apparently.
I should really like Akalon to be here.
Then
That's...
you should find him. He's still in his room. I'm pretty sure he's bored.
Let's go visit him.
But didn't you say you needed to talk with him?
No. I would like for his opinion on psychic phenomena.
Oh. Okay.
We shall go find the Akalon.
So I don't imagine that it's difficult to find Akalon.
No. He's confined.
Is he indeed?
Poor thing. Must be bloody boring.
Strapped to a table, getting used to having the fact that he's had to have a metal arm synced to him, and have the nerves attached one by one to his to that arm. Probably still a bit sore, to be honest.
Yeah, I imagine.
Maybe just a tiny bit.
I imagine you're going to be sore for quite a while.
But yeah, you do find Akalon.
You fall out slightly once in a while, Hein?
Yeah, that's because I've disabled push to talk because it doesn't work for me, and so I've then decreased the sensitivity.
I see.
So it takes more for the mic to pick up my voice.
Well, it does mean that occasionally we miss the ending of a sentence or something.
Yeah.
Yes. We will ask if needs be.
Yes. Please do.
Shall do.
Right. We enter the room of the Accolon. Hello, Accolon.
Hello.
How are you feeling?
Well enough.
That's good. I think Prue goes to check on the attachment.
Yes, that's the only part of Akalon she cares about, really.
Of course. And I mean, she's been involved in the process of attaching it, so obviously she needs to look at it.
Obviously. In great detail.
How is your flesh feeling?
About the same as ever.
No soreness?
Oh, plenty of soreness, but pain is ephemeral.
Medea and I were just talking about pain.
Oh, yes?
Yes. As you might recall, she's unable to feel it.
I do recall quite well.
What is your take on it?
That it is... Bless you.
What?
Sorry.
That's a good point. Would they say bless you in 41st Millennium in the context of the Emperor, rather than, I suppose, God or...
They might fire off an Emperor protects.
Yeah, just so the demons don't go flying up your nose.
Yes. Which is obviously a huge problem if that happens.
Oh, obviously. But, yeah. That it is a mark of uniqueness, I suppose.
That is a nice way of putting it.
If you haven't
Very
figured
nice
out...
way of putting it.
If you haven't figured it out by now, Prue, I have this tendency of trying to be nice, in spite of everyone seeming to insist that it is a pointless and wasteful thing.
Why?
Because I feel it's the right thing to do, because I was raised to do that sort of thing, because somebody should, because it makes me feel good to do good.
Any one of those in particular?
I think the way I was raised is the main logical reason.
So you've not sought to question the way you were raised?
Do you believe in questioning the way you were raised? Do you believe in questioning the teachings and dictates of the god, of the machine god and the Omnissiah?
Of course not. But
There
it's
you
not
are.
uncommon for teenagers to question their parents.
As a teenager, I wasn't exactly given time to question things. I was busy being ferried across the galaxy in the black ship.
Yeah, of course. How was that?
Fracking terrifying, but
I was thinking those exact 2 words.
See,
Get out of my brain.
you're psychic, or am I psychic? Which is it?
Get out of my brain. You're not.
Maybe am I not good enough company in there?
Yes,
All right.
but it does become a little crowded, and there's already too many voices in this head.
I'll be more than happy to try and kick some of them out for you. But anyway, yes. So, but it was necessary, and I grew used to it, and the end result, I think, was worth it.
Am I making you uncomfortable, Accolon?
No more than you have, helping to nerve sync this arm, but in terms of the conversation, no. I'm always happy to answer questions.
You seem keen on summarizing quite a lot.
I think that's also in my nature.
Interesting. Oh, I had a question in regards to Medea.
Ask it.
She mentioned that a psycho was able to induce pain in her. How do you think that is?
I don't understand it from the purely medical viewpoint, since medical knowledge is not my forte, obviously. But from what I gather, it relates to the way the mind perceives pain as registered through nerves in your body. So, for example, the reason that I feel pain in my arm, the soreness in my arm, is because the nerves are telling my brain that there is pain there. I suspect that the message in Medea between the nerves and the brain gets cut off or muddied. But if someone were to induce that feeling directly into the brain through psychic powers, that might allow it to occur.
Do you think then that a psycho would project their own understanding of pain onto someone else, seeing as Medea has never encountered pain?
I mean, maybe, but I've certainly never tried anything like that.
That could be an interesting experiment.
It could also be perceived as quite a cruel one, unless both sides consented to it.
Oh, I assumed consent.
You should never assume consent.
For the in the theory, of course.
Yes, of course. Except, of course, we almost always assume consent in doing the work of the God Emperor, and if not, then the person not consenting must either be made to consent or dealt with. That is not negotiable.
I was thinking that perhaps her nervous system has been damaged. Or her brains.
Oh, both.
Or both.
What's a nervous system?
The thing that makes you feel.
But I can feel.
Yes, but not to the full extent that you should.
Okay, well, have I answered your question satisfactorily?
For now. I might have more later.
Very well. I shall try and be forthcoming.
I think Prue starts checking on the arm again, going, can you move that or this? I think it's a signal that, for her at least, this conversation is over.
Can I leave?
Fair enough.
Sorry?
Can I leave?
You should certainly be able to.
I mean, if
Well,
you want
can
to.
stay. We're done.
Oh. Do you have any questions, Medea?
Well, I already know I'm a freak. And she turns on her heels and leaves.
That is good.
I'll never get used to how abrupt she can be.
I imagine that must be part of her upbringing.
Or lack of one.
No, she might not have been raised by parents, but she still had an environment to shape her.
Yes, I suppose, although to me the word upbringing implies outside influences in terms of her parents, but either way.
Are you saying one could not be brought up by, say, a sibling?
Sorry, could you repeat that? That was a bit broken.
Are you saying, then, that someone could not be brought up by, say, a sibling?
I suppose I didn't think to include them in that list. That was an error of judgment on my part. Fair enough. Will you be careful with that?
I'm sorry.
I know that you consider the flesh to be weak, but I'm quite attached to mine.
Or is it attached to you?
I shall mark this day in my life's calendar forevermore, the day that I met a member of the Mechanicus with a sense of humour.
I was told it would improve my interpersonal skills.
You were told correctly, although there's still room for it to develop, of course.
Of course. I was also told that I should apologize in advance if my curiosity makes you uncomfortable.
Fair enough. I've not really got anything to say to that one way or the other, I don't think.
So, how about you do some exercises?
Does that involve getting up out of this damn bed?
No, I just need to exercise your arm.
It's made of metal. What exercise does it need?
No, not the arm. You need exercise in using your arm.
Mm-hmm. Alright.
You should find that it has certain advantages over your former arm.
Yes. Aside from being stronger and more durable than my previous arm.
Out of character, it was a high quality one, right?
That was good craftsmanship, yes.
You should also find that it has superior manual dexterity once you get used to it.
So basically I will have finer motor control with it.
Yes.
Quite literally.
Out of character, I don't imagine I can feel anything through it if it's made of metal, can I?
I assume that would be part of why you attach the nerves, but
You do have, as I understand it at least, you do actually have rudimentary feelings of touch. For example, you don't have pain receptors in your arm because that would be redundant, but you have, you can feel when you're grabbing something, for example, so there is a sense of touch.
Oh, excellent.
If you didn't, it would be far too easy to simply grab something and crush it because you can't, you don't know how hard you're squeezing it.
Yes, of course. Surprising. I suppose, considering what we mentioned before, that this is almost gives me an opportunity to experience how Medea deals with things. If I were to get shot in this arm, I doubt I'd feel it.
I think you would feel the injury.
Well, the impact
Not
the same
pain.
again. Yes, the pain that would be non-existent.
Yes, it is curious that she possesses a trait that many seek.
Not as many as you'd think. After all,
That is correct.
to exhibit something as unusual as an inability to feel pain that's not induced by outside influence could be seen as a mark of mutation.
Obviously, you would want to receive that trait through augmentation, not mutation. I find in combat that it's quite useful, although
Sorry, please.
although I wouldn't necessarily say it was always useful in situations that are not combat related.
No, of course not. Okay.
I just want to point out that that was an ultra mechanicus thing to say. Obviously, you want to achieve this through augmentation rather than mutation. Oh
Yes.
my god, I can smell the engine grease.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Good proof.
Yes.
Cool. So, sorry. Go on.
No. I think we're not going to advance the.
Right. Okay, so we'll fade out on that conversation. Meanwhile, Sister Francesca had something else she wanted to do. And before we get there, Annie has entered the room, so hang on for a bit.
Yeah, of course.
The one thing that can defeat the GM.
Yes,
The boss.
Yes,
Aha,
the
cat
boss.
balls.
indeed.
Men der var noget i køleskabet.
Ah,
Ja, der var en, der var åben.
no, det havde jeg ikke set.
Åh nej, vi så
ingen
små også lå så op vinduet.
Cool. Gider du lukke den, når du... Nå, okay. Ja, det er
Lå.
Jeg ses til. And I'm back.
Welcome back.
So, meanwhile, Sister Francesca wanted to visit the bridge of this magnificent Imperial vessel.
Yep.
And
I'm guessing it's a cruiser of some kind.
yeah,
or is it a smaller ship?
No, it's a cruiser. It's a cruiser. And I think this becomes apparent to you all as soon as you board the ship. Really, is how you feel as if you guys are extremely high-ranked individuals compared to everyone else on board. They do whatever you tell them to without question. Whenever you do ask someone for something on the ship. And as far as gaining access to the bridge is concerned, there is absolutely no question. They don't question that request at all. You're allowed into the bridge immediately.
Perfect.
And it's the captain is sitting there, of course, in his throne, and alongside him are his most trusted, the most senior of his crew, including the navigator and so on and so forth. Yes. And you're basically able to walk around the crew with no. I'm of course. I mean, I am showing all due respect to the captain. There is nothing quite so like a god, apart from the god emperor, as a captain on the bridge of his ship. No.
So I am certainly showing proper respect and getting out of the way if something happens where I need to get out of the way.
Yes.
But at some point, I mean, this is not just something she's going to do one day. So I mean, it's probably going to be a recurring thing for her. And pretty quickly after she starts going to the bridge, might even be the very first time she's there, she's going to see if she can't get a hold of the of whoever is in charge of the ratings. That is to say, the ship-to-ship men at arms, the ones who fight from ship to ship in case of a boarding action.
Sure.
Because her very first, if you remember from her background, her very first experience of combat as a novice in the Order was a boarding action against a ship she was on board. So this is something that has her interest, and she wants to, if at all possible, she wants to involve herself in the training of the crew, quite frankly, to repel boarding attacks and to carry them out successfully themselves.
Mm-hmm. Well, getting access to this officer is simple enough. You just have to ask, and you're pointed in his direction, or
yes.
rather her direction. It's a woman, and she is. She doesn't quite kneel or anything, but it's clear to you that she considers you of a much higher rank than you are, or than she is. Sorry, whatever you would like to participate in, observe.
Initially, she would like to observe to see what their training regimen is and how it works, and to see where there's no point in her jumping in and starting a whole course before she knows what these men and women can do. So, initially it'll be a matter of observing.
Right, and she'll quickly enough get the idea that these men are they are ready for anything, because they are constantly drilled in various defensive tactics. In the case of an enemy boarding their ship.
How about offensive, though?
That is not really a part of their. Well, they do have some training in it, but their main training is defensive.
Yes. Well, there's something that she can help with then.
Yeah, well, it seems to be a purposeful thing. It's a choice they've made that someone has made, either the captain or someone else, that and that might relate to the ship's function.
Possibly, yes, but counterboarding actions, even if this ship is one that would normally be on the defensive, it could occasionally be a good idea to be able to counterboard another ship and explode it.
Oh, absolutely.
That sort of thing.
And they do have some training in that. And they also have spec op type units that do that exact thing, counterboarding and surgically destroy another ship, for instance. They do have those kinds of units, but the overall focus is on their defense.
Super. Well, she's still going to take part, of course, if at all possible, and if she's got anything that she can teach them, probably about picking targets and high value targets, and defenses, since she uses heavy weapons so frequently. She would be very interested in helping these people know how to counter heavy weapons, because she's seen how absolutely devastating a heavy flamer can be in enclosed spaces, in the narrow confines of boarding tube. Such a weapon would be murderous.
So basically, setting up positions to counteract these kinds.
Yes, exactly, and
sweet,
that sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, so, and I imagine that takes up quite a bit of Sister Francesca's
time. Oh, certainly. She's having a blast with it, I think.
It should be mentioned that the captain, as you rightly mentioned, is this godlike thing, at least on board this ship. There's no one above or beside the captain. And even so, whenever he interacts with Sister Francesca, there is still this, or for any of the other acolytes for that matter, if he has any interactions with them, there is this sense that he also defers to her in any, if there's any.
There's a level of mutual respect there, I think is the safe way to put it, because she's also perfectly aware that she is not she's not born a spacer. She's not. She doesn't know a fraction of the things he does when it comes to operations in space. So there's oodles of respect from her towards him as well.
Right. Cool. Okay. Cool. Well, so the months pass by, and you guys do your thing on the ship, whatever that is. For Prue, it's probably mostly helping Accolon get to terms with his new arm.
Yay, bonding!
Bonding indeed. What about Medea? What does she spend her time doing on this ship with thousands and thousands of crewmen?
She mostly trains.
Mm-hmm.
And when she realizes people are looking at her as if she's of higher rank, she gets a little nervous because what the fuck is going on?
I think actually Francesca might try to include her in her training regimens, because Medea is super agile. So if she wants to, of course, then Francesca would love to have her help.
Sure, no problem.
Sweet. Cool.
I think once word gets out that something like that is happening, Prue would like to join, because she did not fare that well in the last combat they had.
I went well. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Cool.
So it seems prudent to practice your skills.
I see what you did there.
Oh my god. Oh, that was painful.
So, okay. God damn it, Rasmus.
She is named after a virtue?
Yes, she is.
That was funny. Okay.
It was fun.
So we're coming up on our first break, but before that happens, so after a few months out in the black vastness of space, you finally arrive at there's there's a warning over the Klaxars that you're approaching Scintilla, and the captain even informs you of such, and so you're able to. At this point, the viewports are open, so you can look out and you can see the grey that is Scintilla. There are these massive grey clouds covering most of the planet from. And
home sweet home.
And Akalon,
Yep,
you see something.
I'm sure I do.
It shouldn't be possible for you to see this at this distance. And considering how small, how minute these things are in comparison to the planet that is Scintilla. But you see these shapes around the planet. These small geometric shapes. And as they... and as you stand there, watching out the viewport and looking at the planet, they start spinning faster and faster and faster and faster, and you start to see cracks upon the surface of the planet. At least the parts of the planet you can see through the cover of the clouds, and these cracks grow at an alarming speed, and as they form and as they expand, there's this purple light shining underneath them. And these shapes spin faster and faster and faster until you can't see them. They spin so fast. And then they tear the planet apart. There is this explosion as Scintilla erupts in some kind of warp storm that is centered underneath the surface of the planet. As you stand there watching in horror, the planets, the Tricorn, the two hive cities, Hive Tarsus and Hive Sibelius, are destroyed, along with billions of people, billions of Imperial citizens, in one horrible moment. And you think, Akalon, even through the horror of it all, you think you can see in the stars an individual. A person clad in black armor. And that is when Akalon wakes up, drenched in sweats after this horrible, horrible nightmare. And that is where we'll take our first break, and we'll be right back.
Uh-oh.